Thank you for coming today. My name is Jose Jacobo, and I'll be my presentation is titled AI Power Writing Coach, Amplifying Student Learning in the Language Classroom with Generative AI. And by the way, I used AI to come up with this title. Yes. So more specifically, I will be talking about how to assess classroom technologies in the Language Classroom, like the things we need to consider every time we intend to incorporate some type of technology, not just AI, but any type of technology in the classroom. The limitations of AI in the language classroom. My writing assessments, the Spanish 142 compositions assignments that I do in my class. The use of the target language in online interactions, AI and I will show you AI feedback examples from student submissions. Okay, because I do require students to submit their conversation with the chat box. Okay, all right. So every time we intend to incorporate any type of technology in the classroom, we need to take we need to consider this 5 ecosystems: pedagogical ecosystem, sociocultural ecosystem, linguistic, acquisitional, and technological ecosystem. As you can see, these are divided into 3 different areas. The first one, the pedagogical ecosystem, answers the question: what pedagogical functions are improved? So you can see grading, attendance, writing, interaction, feedback. It's not just how the students can benefit from the use of that technology, but also how can we benefit from the use of that technology. So in my case, for this particular assignment, it does reduce the amount of time I spend correcting compositions because the students do that themselves. Also improves students' writing, I hope. And they do receive feedback. They do receive feedback. The sociocultural ecosystem answers the question, what ideologies and people facilitate or hinder? So in our context as Rice University instructors, how does this technology help us, or help students achieve Rice University's goals of respect, integrity, community, and excellence? Does it not? Does it? Or how does it help us reach CLIC's goals? Or how does it help us reach our learning outcomes? So these are the things that we need to ask ourselves when we decide to incorporate any type of technology. The curriculum area, linguistic ecosystem, what language skills are learned for reading, writing, etc. And I'll dwell on this a little bit in a minute. The acquisitional ecosystem, this deals more with the processes of language acquisition. And the technological ecosystem, what other technologies are required in order for this assignment to be successful? Okay, so the linguistic ecosystem, as you can see, we can use it for grammar, pronunciation, modes, pragmatics, lexicon, what language skills are learnable or need learning. So in my particular assignment, I think grammar definitely, a clause word order, clause combining, when students use a different, for instance, in English, the red car, adjective, noun. So if they do that in Spanish, then the AI will correct to a noun adjective. There's no pronunciation involved in my assignment. Lexicon, yes. I would say lexical semantics, like how words are formed. Collocation and lexical grammar deal with how students or we mediate meaning with chunks of words. Like before going to university, antes de. We use the antes de plus infinitive, right? So that type of thing. And if students say like before going antes yendo, the AI will correct to antes de ir. So it does help with the lexicon aspects. Pragmatics, it does, I would say, facilitates register awareness and variety awareness. Variety awareness, sometimes students write things like, I tap on the phone, hablo en el teléfono. And the AI will tell them, you can also use móvil, hablo en el móvil, common in Spain, or teléfono is common in Latin America. So it doesn't really give you one over the other. it gives you both options. Related awareness, it does help you with. I know students wrote. He's like a tutor of math tutor in a middle school, and he said, I tutor math. He said math this, and the AI said math this is a little informal, so more formal mathematics. It does help you with register awareness, variety awareness, and modes. I would say presentational writing. Presentational writing, the student needs to submit the assignment in the discussion forum. Okay, and I would add here to interpersonal reading because they need to read the other classmates' submissions. Yeah, so as you can see, it doesn't cover all 5 aspects, but a combination of them, right? So these are things we need to think about when we decide to incorporate any type of technology in the classroom. As I mentioned, the acquisitional system, ecosystem deals with the processes, factors. What are the steps, processes, factors in language acquisition? Right. So meta language definitely. When students use, for instance, the present participle, when they need to use the past participle, the AI will tell you need to use the past participle. So that helps with into and infinitive. Those things is meta language. So it does help with that. Comprehensible input. So every time the students ask for feedback, even though the feedback might be a little above their level, because they wrote their draft and because they are reading the feedback within the context of the composition, they're able to understand that feedback. So comprehensible input. Push output is what they produce. Gap noticing, whole noticing. It's have to do with students notice that something's missing. Something when they, for instance, if they say something like, "Yesterday I go to the party," that I went to the party, right? So they're able to. We need to use a predicate. Something missing, right? Whole noticing is similar, but more like structural, like syntax. So it just depends, like the level of the course, and what are you trying to assess for that particular writing assignment. And also, I would say proceduralization, when students like learn the grammar rules. Okay, I've seen something that the AI does tell them that for this particular case, for completing actions, using the predicate instead of the predicate perfect is better. It will say things like that. So that hopefully this synchronization and automatization of students are able to produce the language more naturally. Okay, so yeah, this is just like a few examples of the things that could be some of the processes that can that the AI can help you with. Okay, the technological ecosystem. So what could be needed for a successful lesson with AI? So in my experience, the first time when I did this in the fall of 2023, my first semester here, I was crawling on Twitter and I saw this influencer post like a prompt meme, a prompt master, something like that, and it gave me an idea on like to do this. So the first time when I did it, I asked students to, and I was in SU 101, the basement, right? The basement. So I asked students, take out your laptops, and if you don't have a laptop, you can write on a piece of paper. So I asked them to write for 20 minutes to start working on their composition. And then, so they definitely need Wi-Fi, they need a computer, they need plentiful outlets, okay? Because if their computer is dying and they don't have where to plug their computer, they're not going to be able to complete it. They can also use cameras from their phones. So for the people who didn't have a laptop, I asked them to write it down on a piece of paper to the best of their ability. I have awful handwriting. I handled it, yeah. But some of the people who didn't have a laptop, they had a phone, so that was no problem. But because we were in a basement, and sometimes when you have a phone that is a little bit outdated, like mine, the Wi-Fi hardware might not be up to date. So in some cases, places decide to stop supporting certain devices. So this person, because we were in a basement, they didn't have internet access from the cell phone plans, and they couldn't access the Wi-Fi. So these are some of the things that we need to consider if we decide to complete this in class, right? For that reason, I just have them do it at home. But yeah, PDF makers for turning AI outputs into set files. So they need to be able to copy and paste the AI feedback into a software like Google Docs, Microsoft Words. They need to submit it as well. But yeah, this is some of the things that. But you can see there's a lot of things that we need to consider all these things, right? We can't just assume that students have access to these things. A lot of times they don't. Some of the limitations of AI, factual inaccuracy. ChatGPT generates human-like tests, but some of these answers are incorrect and lack factual information. So it has happened to me when I asked them for, can you give me an article on this topic? And then they give me like names of articles, and can you tell me where I can find this article? And it gives me like a book. And then I go to the library and look for that book, and that article doesn't exist. It happened to me before. So yeah, repetition. The model tends to repeat phrases and vocabulary constantly. In language acquisition, that's not really a bad thing, not necessarily. But yeah, it's listed as a problem. I'm being the next three have to do with the prompt. When a user creates an ambiguous prompt, the model does not ask for clarification and automatically responds, acting as if the user intention is guessed clearly. An appropriate request, the model does not refuse an appropriate request, but might respond to harmful instructions and express biased behavior. Inconsistency, the chatbots often acts inconsistently during human-machine interaction, generating completely opposite responses even if the prompt is slightly phrased. Yeah, it has to do with the prompt. So in order to avoid that, I provide students with the prompt they need to use. Right? And this hallucination occurs when the AI is exposed to bias or incorrect data during its training. So it is not our fault, it's not the student's fault, it's just how the AI was trained. But it's improving a lot, though. It's improved a lot since 2023, definitely. In addition, AI systems lack the ability to use language to mediate and negotiate meaning in nuanced social and cultural context, right? If I wave like this, if I wave like this, if I nod my head, the AI doesn't know that, right? That deficiency, along with AI's Western-oriented and Anglo-centric training, limits AI's ability to reliable and authentic written or spoken conversation partners for L2 learners, especially for low-resource language. With languages with not a lot of corpus, I think that's the plural. Yeah. Given that artificiality of AI outputs, the development of interaction or pragmatic, aesthetic competencies in L2 is best developed in authentic and meaningful human-to-human communication. Here at Click, we have the blessing of having language consultants, so we don't have this issue. Okay, but yeah, so these are things that we need to consider if we plan on, and there are ways to improve the interaction with the chatbots. Okay, but that's for another presentation. So Moravian assessment, as you can see, students have to. It's its own model on Canvas in Canvas. There needs to complete this on border. So in order to access the assessment, they need to do the AI workshop, etc. So the first thing they see is this AI workshop. How to revise your composition, as I mentioned in class, we explain our composition assignments. To unlock the composition assessment, watch this video. I used to spend time in class doing like the workshop in class. But sometimes students don't come to class, and even when they came, they would ask me questions, email me. So what I decided to do is just make it a video. And they need to watch this at home. The video contains information about the composition assignments. It should answer any questions you might have. If you still have questions, let me know. This semester, no one asked me any questions, so I think it works. Okay, so this is like 15 minutes long, but it does help with. It introduces the amount of time that you need to spend answering emails. Okay, and no one cheated, which is a good thing. Yeah. So the next thing they see is the rubric, okay? Pretty basic rubric. The only thing that I want to highlight here is the peer responses because they need to submit the assignment on a discussion forum. They need to respond to three peers. In the past, I didn't have this category, so people were not responding to the peers, and they were like, "Well, it's not part of the rubric. I don't have to," which is technically true, yes, but now it's here. They have to respond to that, right? Yeah. So then, after they see the rubric, they see the assignment. The assignment is divided into 4 steps. Paso uno, paso tres, paso cuatro. So the first step is a draft, and I list all the things that they need to cover on the composition. And as you can see, I specifically state use reflexive verbs. It's a period perfect. Use the present progressive. Use in past infinitive for the future. Because we need to use the things we learn in the classroom. We use the future tense instead of in past infinitive. It's okay. If you use any other forms that are way above your level, it's wrong. I'm gonna assume you cheat. So they need to keep that in mind. Okay. And in the video I mentioned that even if the AI gives them some type of form that is too advanced, keep the one we learn in class. So they need to review each one specifically. So after they do their, after writing your composition, you will revise your draft with AI. To properly use AI, you need to give the AI role, task, and a format. And again, I got some influence on Twitter. Okay. For the purpose of this course, use this prompt: act as a Spanish editor. Role: provide me with sentence per sentence feedback on my composition draft. Task: provide feedback on a list. This was format. Okay, and copy and paste your draft. I'm thinking of trying to tailor this prompt to be more specific, like my gender is this, and that, because the AI just assumes that the masculine gender. Okay, so that's one of the issues as well. So yeah, I think it could be definitely improved. And then once you receive your feedback, proceed to correct your composition 1 sentence at a time. That's step 3, edit your draft. Step 4, submitting the composition on the discussion forum. Once you revise your work, share the discussion forum on Canvas. To make the communication more effective, I include at least 3 images related to the content of your composition. So they have to add images to their submission, and these are the things they need to respond to the classmate. Okay, and important, remember to attach the draft of your composition and the feedback received from the AI as an attached file, Word, or PDF to your post. Failure to do so will result in a 0. I only have like I want to say 2, 3 issues with students. When students wrote the composition in English and then translated it, and because I requested the feedback, I saw it. So I do revise everyone's submissions, and I just asked her, "You can't do that." She told me, "Well, I wrote it in English, so I knew what to say in Spanish." Like, no. And another student didn't submit the feedback. Like, you need to do it again, a 0, or report it to the honor council. You decide, and they always choose to do it again. So that's usually not an issue. Okay, but yeah, I always highlight this in class, in the video as well. Yes. Why do I follow this format? So in my experience, especially for maybe social media like interactions, students read each other's submissions, they see the pictures, they stalk each other. Even in the class, because my two Hispanic 142 classes are like linked together. They're like, who are these other people? Like they kept reading other people's submissions because they didn't know them. Yeah, so it does make social media like interactions create a sense of community in the classroom. Students like sharing about their interests. They like interests are interested in their peers' life as well. Okay. One time, one student said, Yesterday I went to get coffee by myself because I don't have any friends. So the next day in class, the person who sits next to me was like, "What do you mean I don't have any friends? I'm right here." So yeah, sometimes those things happen too. Students are in asynchronous courses. Discussion forums have shown to increase interaction and completion of coursework. So I started teaching online classes in summer 2019. I was trained at Lynn College. At first, we just had to have like some type of daily participation assignments because logging in does not constitute attendance according to I forgot the agency, educational agency, but yeah. So at first it was just like assignments that they needed to submit in a folder. But people like it had like 10% completion uh, of those assignments. So after I started doing this, it went from like 10% to like 95% of completion. Because like the students were like they were missing out because they were not completing the assignment. They want to come back every day to read about other people's submissions, right? So yeah, this is why I follow this format. And even though it's not really like social media, the use of target language in online interaction, authentic context, multilingual exposure, cultural competence, social media says here, social media offer real world communication opportunities that are difficult to replicate in a standard classroom. It's not really social media, but it's social media like. I tried using social media, but it doesn't really. It's too personal, so it's too, there's a limit on how much personal you can get. So yeah, it's really super. So I think discussion forums they do the job. Good job. I want to mention also cultures of use. Engaging with site-specific cultures of use helps writers understand that effective communication depends heavily on the community's unique expectation of digital etiquette. So it's also a type of digital etiquette that they're learning. And also really fast before I show you my student submissions, like examples. This semester we're reading The Opposite of Cheating for the Center for Teaching Excellence reading group. And this really is, I really like this particular quotes from the book. This researchers found that their findings show that students were less likely inclined to report, my mistake, cheating or justify dishonest behavior when they felt that they had a personal connection with their instructors. They were motivated and able to engage meaningfully with the course material both in and outside of class. They had built a sense of community with at least some classmates. The course was genuinely enjoyable. Their time and effort were worthwhile. The course was structured and organized effectively. And I think that this assignment in particular, I think meets this one. They engage outside of the classroom with the material because they need to do it as for homework. It does build a sense of community with peers. They enjoy it. I think they enjoy it, and because you have everything like so well structured, I'm not functioning today well, but they do appreciate when everything is clear and they don't have to ask that many questions. I don't think they like to ask questions. Okay, so these are my resources.